Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be all about Tilray brands. Our last major market update on Tilray was down here on the 13th of June. I will link that video in the description below if you want to go check it out. What we was discussing was this potentially being a spring phase in action here for Tilray of Wyckoff Accumulation, and we was comparing it to some previous other sectors in the stock market to potentially see this move back to the upside. We was talking about a potential 40% drop from the highs, and what we've got is about 36% to the downside there. So coming right into them expected zones right here. Tilray, nice bit of accumulation going on here for that spring phase to potentially come into action. So what I'm going to discuss is what we've seen in Tilray, how this affects the current market structure, and what we need to be expecting over the coming weeks and months for this to actually be a spring phase in action and not just another pump before another dump to the downside. So guys, if you like the video, give it a like, of course. Any comments, subscriptions, always appreciated. Let's get straight into the video. So what I've done here is just take us to the weekly time frame so we can get a zoomed out perspective like we did in our last video and discuss how and why we thought this potential Wyckoff accumulation was going to play out. So as you can see, we've got our Wyckoff accumulation schematic here with the potential spring phase coming in here, breaking all of the support, or what people would class as support, all hope lost in the stock for us to return back to the upside. So as you can see in Wyckoff accumulation, the spring phase can involve a lot of chops. So I'm not saying right now is to everyone, oh, we need to rush in, because in my opinion, the time to enter was down here when we was making that spring phase video. But realistically, if this is Wyckoff accumulation and we've had that spring phase, we should not be expecting to break these lows down here. This is the spring phase, so around this range we would be expecting a lot of chop, a lot of manipulation up and down around these levels for the late market participants coming in to potentially buy high, sell low, let the traders build up positions, liquidate both sides, and then potentially move into the higher time frame, move to the upside. So really, when we're looking at Tilray here, if that is a spring phase, we want to be seeing the levels cleared, and we want to be seeing these levels cleared pretty quick, moving back up to the $4 region within the next couple of months. We need to see Tilray show some strength. We don't want this weekly or monthly candle to close back below these levels, because then it could just be a deviation, come back and close some of these higher time frame bullish candles out. So when we're looking at Tilray on the lower and higher time frame, we need to see this level hold. We don't want to be going back down for a deviation to the upside with more lows to the downside. But for anybody who was watching them videos back in early June when we was at about the 156 level, take a look at that percentage increase that we've had already in Tilray. A nice 45% move to the upside. So as always with these big green candles, we will expect some late market participants to enter the market, which would coincide with a spring phase and a bit of manipulation around these levels. But all we need to see is that $2.17 region hold on the higher time frame for us to be able to confirm that this was a spring phase and the entries down at the lows was absolutely perfect. If we drop it down to an even lower time frame here on the 4 hourly, we can see we are just filling a gap here that was created back in late May, back into July, June, July. So this could easily just be a gap fill to the upside and leaving a gap to the downside. A lot of people, in my opinion, will be entering the market for a short for these entries back down. And when we look at Elliott wave terms, and this potentially being a 1, 2, 3 to the upside, people entering shorts within this mid-range of the third wave would actually push the market even higher. If all of the bears are gone down here and there's really no one else left to sell, all of the selling pressure is going to come in at this level. If the market shows strength and the market carries on in a third, fourth, fifth wave, that is a really good sign, and then we can potentially be looking for that chop and manipulation on the lower time frame for us to come back down to these levels. But throughout the time we've been monitoring Tilray from the lows, this is a massive move to the upside. So congratulations to anyone that's been entering at the lows and has been patient and sat back, relaxed, and let the market come to you. So if we pull the trend-based Fibonacci from a potential wave 1, 2 to the downside, you can see the 3.618 hour target extension is coming up at around the $2.92, which would coincide with that spring phase of the market, and then looking for the higher time frame drops back to the 1.618. So If you are looking for an entry, probably not the best place. I'd probably wait for a bit of a pump to the upside, then look for a free wave correction back down to these levels like we would see in a spring phase, retest, then showing even more strength in the market as a higher time frame 1, 2 to the upside, looking for a major Fed wave from this point. But when we're taking a higher time frame, zoomed out perspective here on the monthly time frame, on the log chart, we've got a wick to wick trend line here, giving us some targets at some confluence levels at the 38.2%, $11. But high time frame, the high of this stock was around $300, down to around $1.56. So these entries, if that is a spring phase and we had to reclaim these levels and go to these highs, this could potentially even be a long-term hold with some profit taking on the way, of course, but leaving some to ride to even potentially some much crazier targets. But guys, it's not financial advice. I hope you've been able to benefit from this move. If you have, drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe, of course. Again, not financial advice, but I'll see you next time. Cheers.